On today's episode of Wellness on the Rocks, I have a great guest, really talented bartender I first met a few months ago. I was with a friend of mine and we were on an absolute tear through San Diego. I think we started in Little Italy. We were drinking at Craft and Commerce. This is back when actually Marina worked there. That was our first stop. We went over to check out the new Good Enough cocktail bar that's down by the fountain. I think from there we went over to... We traveled up to North Park. We had dinner at Finca, and Joe and some of those guys sat down and we were hanging out with us. I think after Finca that one night, we walked over to Tribute. I crushed an entire pepperoni pizza on the way over to Mabel's Gone Fishing. And I just remember like standing outside the restaurant, like we were like, you know, slamming pizzas, rounds of drinks deep. And then my friend Zach was like, yo, dude, this bar has the best cocktail in San Diego. They're Spanish gin and tonics. You got to try it. Hurry up and finish your goddamn pizza so we can go get the drink. Last drink of the night, nightcap. We go in. The bartender who's behind the bar, we're chopping it up. Hey, what's going on? You know, super talented. I'm taking Instagram photos, tagging the bar on Instagram. And that's how I was introduced to this person. A couple months later, I'm seeing this person on the social media for their bar, and I just reached out and I said, hey, having no idea who this person is or their story, do you want to come on? You know, I have this hospitality podcast, Wellness on the Rocks. Any chance you want to come on and, you know, talk about the restaurant and your experience? And they were like, yeah. So we grabbed coffee and I started to learn about this person and their history in this industry. I was really impressed because I don't meet too many people with the experience and the level of, I guess, diversity in restaurants that this person has. So it was really cool to learn about this person. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you on my podcast and share your story because I think it's very unique. And it was cool. So yeah, this person has, you know, worked almost every position in the restaurants. And, they're still growing, they're still learning, but they have that inquisitive mindset of, you know, never being satisfied. And like, how can I keep growing and learning and trying to pursue this career? And I think that a lot of times bartenders, we're very loud and attention seeking and look at me, look at how great this restaurant is and how great a bartender is. But this person was really humble and confident and hardworking and knowledgeable. So these are just some of the things I noticed. And you can feel that when you listen to this person talk about their story and their history. So welcome to Wellness on the Rocks out of Mabel's Gone Fishing, Anna Canrinus. Did I fuck that name up? I think I did fuck her name up. How do I say it? Anna Canrinus. Boom. Let's go. They did, yeah. They did that events where they do. They bring in people from all over the city and stuff just to promote and stuff. So it was cool. It's cool to watch people do new things. It's like the industry is like, it just keeps like evolving and growing and stuff. And you kind of got to like adapt or get left behind, you know? Yeah, dude, people are doing creative stuff in the industry, man. It's cool to talk to them and figure it out. Just to like hear about their, journeys and stuff. And, the restaurant industry, I feel like is just always evolving and changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like this year in particular, I've just seen a lot of kind of the community coming together with different events and takeovers and things like that.
Yeah.
We did one at Mabel's this year and it was a good time. It was at Kingfisher. We did a swap. So they came over to our bar and then we went over there.
Where's Kingfisher?
It's in Golden Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a restaurant. It's a really, really nice restaurant. Yeah. And they have this gorgeous bar that's an oval right in the middle. So we kind of collabed with those bartenders to do a cocktail that would be at both places.
Okay.
And then they took over our bar and then we went over and took over their bar and came up with some fun stuff and put our heads together and it was just really fun.
Yeah, man, the takeovers are cool because you get a chance to meet like a bunch of different people. Like I know that There's that bar downtown, Good Enough, who they're like doing takeovers every night. So you're meeting people from all over the city at different bars.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an opportunity for you to build that networking connection. And I think at first I kind of looked at stuff like that and I was like, oh, that's lame. Like, you know, like why would you let another team behind your bar and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, the more I talk to people, like the restaurant industry in 2025 is not in a great place. People aren't drinking a lot. People aren't going out and spending money. So people do have to get creative with how you bring in sales. And a big part of that is like, look, we're all in this kind of industry together, you know? And like, I guess like the takeovers are kind of similar to what I'm doing here on the podcast platform, because I do meet a lot of like really cool, you know, talented, unique bartenders and people who are cooks and chefs and work in other areas, managers at other bars. And it's cool to like just pick their brain and talk to them like you know. I remember the first time I came into Mabel's, I was out with Zach and we had been on a bender through North Park.
Yeah, you guys were fun.
We were torn up. And he's like, dude, you got to try this Spanish G&T at Mabel's, man. It's the best drink in the city. It's the best drink in the city. And you were our bartender. And it was so funny. And I was like, oh, let me take a picture. I'll tag you on Instagram. I'll tag you on. And then here we are. A few months later, we're sitting doing a podcast together. So that's how it works.
I know. Yeah. You're constantly meeting people in the bar setting, and it's a really fun part of it, especially kind of coming from back of house. Interacting with the guests is something that I've just really loved doing.
Yeah, because that's sort of like, as the bartender role, you're sort of the face of the restaurant. You're more of a sales position. Yeah. You know, we're doing the cocktails and you have to understand the menu, and we're kind of like selling the menu, as opposed to when you started in the industry back of house, it's a whole different thing. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it'd be cool to talk to you today, was because not many people I know have like this professional, talented experience working in both ends.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, man, because, you know, oftentimes the bartenders, we get a lot of the love. We get, you know, these tips. It's a little bit more of entertainment. But you guys, when you were in the back of house and you started there, that's like the powerhouse of the restaurant. And it's just cool to talk to people that have different experiences than I do. So when did you first start getting into the restaurant industry? How did that go?
My very first job was in a restaurant. I was 17. It was at a pizza restaurant, family, kind of like sports bar place.
Was that here in San Diego?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's called Oggi's.
Sweet.
Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Yeah, so I started out as a host, which was, they did their own deliveries. And so it was a lot of like answering phones and seating people. And then eventually kind of I was serving, and then I did pizza delivery for a little while, which was so fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just very chill. You just drive around and deliver pizzas and find apartments in apartment complexes is like the challenge. And, yeah, so I kind of started there and then started to get really into baking at home. I just had a knack for it. I started doing it all the time. I would bake goods and bring them into work, and everyone was like, these are so good. You need to do this professionally. And I said, okay. And I happened at the time to live about a block from a culinary school, and I would walk by and see them in their chef's whites. And, you know, I had gone to community college for a little while. It wasn't really for me. I was kind of just, you know, a little bit lost, kind of finding my place, and decided to sign up for the pastry program there at that school. And it all kind of just went from there. It was a really fun program. I learned a ton about not just baking and pastry, but restaurants in general. You go through this whole entrepreneurship where you kind of like pretend to open a restaurant in a group project. They teach you about costing out recipes and how important it is to get the highest yield out of what you're making, which I think I still am using very often in the bar.
So you're in the program where you learn to go baking. Did you then get a job at a bakery or a restaurant, or what was the next step like?
You do an internship at the end of the program.
Okay.
So I did my internship at Cucina Urbana. Yeah. It was
Very
like
nice.
very fun, very cool. I loved being in the Italian restaurant setting.
That's up in Bankers Hill?
Yeah.
I was there last week, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's fun. They have like the pizza out in the dining room, and it was definitely a fun spot to kind of get my feet wet. They had a really great pastry program. I learned a lot. I was so young and just like learning, and then kind of getting interested in the savory side of things because it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
And then kind of went back and forth a little bit between the pastry and doing kind of like the cold line part of the restaurant. It evolved from there. I would say kind of when I started working at Trust.
Oh.
I feel like that was where I leveled up a little bit in a sense. I think I just was working the cold line there, and it's an open kitchen. It's your own little station. It's right there by the VIP table. It's like a bar height table. It's kind of their chef's counter, if you will, because you can see the behind the scenes. And I was right next to that table, just listening to the servers sell the food, the professionalism. I would watch them set up the dining room every day, and they had this string. One server would take one end, the other one would take the other one on the other side of the room, and you line up every piece of silverware and every glass, and everything is just, it just was a level that I hadn't really seen before.
Wow. So I'm sorry, this was Trust Restaurant Group?
Yes.
Was
When
it-
it was just Trust. At the
Okay,
time.
so no, that because I'm familiar with them as like the group, and they own a few different restaurants now.
Yeah, it started just with the one in Hillcrest.
Oh wow, is it called something different now?
I don't think so.
Okay,
It's just called Trust.
I've
still.
never heard. Yeah, I gotta go check that place out.
Yeah.
That's so that's like fine dining kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and actually being able to see it because you're in the open kitchen.
Wow, that's so cool. I've never worked at any places like that, but I think that's really cool, that place, because there is this level of the industry that is like run like a military tight ship, like everything to a T, like napkin placed, food, like seat number, like all this crazy stuff. I work at an Irish bar.
Yeah.
And so we are more like mom and pop, running around, like conversation, beer and shot, talking to people.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have discipline behind the bar, but I don't think anyone's measuring out silverware on the bar top.
No, exactly.
But that's so cool.
Yeah, but it all kind of is connected, right? Like, is there food at the bar where you're working?
Yeah, we have shepherd's pie, Reuben sandwiches, corned beef and cabbage, like traditional
so good.
Irish food. Like it's we're not just like a beer and a shot bar. We are a restaurant. People come in for the food, for the lunch crowd. The lunch shift is one of the most challenging parts of my job, because I'm banging around this just me in this restaurant and bar, getting sides of ranch, Diet Cokes, refills on fries and stuff like that. And it's like that's like hustling around a restaurant with food is a different challenge, because if you're at a bar late night and you sell $100 worth of Jameson shots, that's just like bang, bang. But when you're selling $100 worth of Reuben sandwiches and sides of ranch and Diet Cokes, it takes a lot more manpower to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
So that's sort of been my experience, but that's cool. So you kind of were in the kitchen and you had this open space, and that's what you got to observe, all the things going out in the dining room. And I think that's really cool. I just talked to this girl named Relitza, who's she worked for Trust Restaurant Group.
Oh, that's funny.
She's an architect, and that's her whole career has been designing bars, homes, and hospitals and restaurants. And she was talking about the concept of these open kitchens and how there's this new thought with design that it's like empathetic design, and you want to create spaces that focus on people's mental health, and that people enjoy working in, and they don't have a high turnover. This job sucks. This kitchen sucks. And one of the things we talked about was the open kitchen, and how that's like this new thing for people in the industry, how you're trying to make it more pleasurable to work there, so that you do a better job at work, so you stay there longer, so you give a better experience to the customer. Customer comes back, the profits, it's all connected. So that's kind of cool that you kind of were, in one of those places.
Yeah, I think the natural light goes a long way.
Natural light.
The kitchen, I'd been in a kitchen before that was like in a basement. You can't see the outside. Everything just feels very closed in.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's how I started bartending in New York City, and a lot of those kitchens are in the basement. I mean, it's so tight. They're all on top of each other. Square footage is just so expensive. But, there's, design of restaurants is a really intriguing thing to think about.
Definitely.
So, okay, you're at Trust. And then how old were you there?
24.
24.
So 8 years ago. A long time ago.
And how did you end up, what brought you from that Trust to when you started working at Mabel's?
Well, I worked for that group. I started just at Trust, and then they were expanding. I eventually moved from my cold line position to the pastry assistant. That was kind of the idea.
Okay.
They would eventually need a pastry assistant. And so I was kind of waiting on that, did their pastry program. We opened up many different spots with them, and we opened a bakery in January of 2020, and very shortly after, the whole thing just kind of fell apart there with the shutdown, and was just kind of trying to get by and still working for that company, but excuse me, it was a wild time. So just kind of trying to get through, and I think when I kind of coming out the other side of things, I was like ready for a change.
Yeah.
And so I had done the cold line, I'd done the pastry, but I'd never done hot.
Okay.
And I wanted to learn that. I'm always like, what's the next thing I can learn? So I got a job at the Rose, which is the sister restaurant of Mabel's. It's much more wine focused. When I was there, the kitchen is hyper seasonal. Very much produce focused. All the farmers market still is, but just this is kind of where I was really learning that, because with pastry, you can definitely have some seasonality, but this was just kind of another level of just, okay, what produce do we have today? What are we going to make?
Oh yeah. It's like on the spot. This is okay. So you're putting the different menu out every day almost kind of?
Not exactly. I mean, the chef I worked for did do a lot of specials. He loved to run specials. But even, for example, we had a crudité platter with hummus, really delicious hummus. And it was just like, okay, what vegetables are we going to put on the crudité today? There was a lot of mixing this seasonality with what is going to be different today than it was yesterday. And like, what's the absolute best peak produce we can get? And it's tiny. The kitchen was so small. It was a very tight team. And yeah, my chef at the time just taught me everything, because I hadn't even in a professional kitchen grilled a steak or made a pasta, really built a sauce, made a dressing, made aioli. All of those things I learned at the Rose. And I mean, I had done, the cold stuff before, so salad dressings, things like that. But this is like some learning more French techniques, learning how to grill the perfect steak, make a perfect burger. He taught me to break down fish there. So yeah, I tried that out. I absolutely loved it. One of the reasons I left my pastry job is that I have what's called baker's asthma.
Okay.
So I'm really sensitive to working with raw flour, and it was something that I kind of just dealt with for a really long time. But that was another reason why I was like, okay, I need to figure something else out. I can't do this pastry thing anymore. I moved over to the hot. They opened a bakery in the space, and I was breading chicken, and I'm just still feeling the effects of this kind of allergy that I have to raw flour.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need something different again. It was like time to switch it up again. Mabel's was going to be opening up, and I was just really fortunate. I talked to the owner, and I'm like, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And she really just gave me that opportunity and said, okay, I would love for you to follow that dream and start studying, and we'll figure it out. And I'm really grateful to her for giving me the chance, because I did not have bar experience. I had very little front of house experience from a long time ago.
So you went from back of house in the kitchen in the Rose to right to bartender at Mabel's, or did you work in the kitchen at Mabel's as well?
I didn't work in the kitchen at Mabel's.
Got you.
I was bar backing.
Got you.
And
okay.
bartending.
So that's where the transition went in.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So it was opening up a new restaurant, new position, everything kind of happened.
Damn. So what was that process like, learning to go from the cold bar and the bakery to cooking steaks, making sauces? Like, was that like a tough learning curve for you? Did it take a while to get? What were some of those challenges like?
Yeah, I think that because of the place, because of the Rose, it's very much, have you ever been there?
I haven't, no. I'm going to go visit though.
Yeah. It's very much a neighborhood spot. It's not a huge restaurant. And I think it gave me the space to kind of have this learning curve and I just feel very grateful that I had the chef I had and I was in this space, because I think it gave me the space to kind of maybe mess up and learn and grow from that. But yeah, I feel like because I had a lot of kitchen experience, really some of the tougher things was the knife work, and I learned how to break down a fish, like an entire fish, and that was definitely a big challenge. Fish is so delicate, and it always is a little bit different, and it depends, how warm the fish is can affect it. You have to have a really sharp knife and just be very careful not to do a hack job on your fish and make it clean and pretty. Yeah. So it takes a lot of attention to detail. And
it's also really expensive when you mess it up too.
Yeah, you have to get that high yield that I was learning in culinary school. If too much of the fish comes off when you're taking the skin off, you're like, shoot, I got to be better. You just want to be better next time.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you mess up making a loaf of bread. That's pennies. Yeah. Well, it's like that costs you pennies. Yeah. Like I think Craig, so I have the bartending experience. I don't necessarily have any back house experience, but is fish one of the more challenging things as a chef or a cook to work with out of all the foods and
For
culinaries?
me, it was. Some people would say it's bacon bread, right? Some people would say, oh, pastry's so hard. I could never do that. I heard that so much when I was doing pastry. But for me, I think, the fish was challenging. But it's also so fun.
Yeah. So, okay, you go from working at the Rose, back of house, learning to cut fish, and you did that for how long were you in the kitchen there at the Rose?
A year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
And then Mabel's opens and you say, I kind of want to make a change and grow. What was it like going from starting as a bar back to sort of like learning the cocktails? Because we've been talking about you in the kitchen the whole time, but I've seen you bartend and you're incredibly fast, knowledgeable, on point. I mean, I don't think like you do have the experience as like what it appears from the customer's perspective as a veteran bartender. So like, was that challenging to go like from a mental aspect of I have all this, and I finally learned how to cut fish and with the cold bar and the bread and everything to like, now I got to learn a whole different thing. Like, what was that process like?
It was wild. It was a bigger learning curve for sure than the fish. I think because, kitchen experience, but it all really is kind of connected. It's all comes back to the attention to detail, whether you're taking the skin off a fish or you're lining up silverware or you're making a cocktail. You just have to really pay attention and kind of put your all into it, at least the way that we bartend at Mabel's. And the way that I personally like to bartend is just very much attention to detail. And a big thing that I feel I brought from the kitchen was mise en place, which is just everything goes in its place. You use something, you put it back, you wipe it down, you stay clean. And that part already made sense to me. But it was a lot of, so I actually, when I reached out about wanting to bartend, it was maybe 6 months or so before it actually opened. So I had a little bit of lead time there. I did some training for classic cocktails. I did a bar backing shift at the Rose. I kind of got my feet wet and learned a little bit there. But when Mabel's opened, it was definitely a big change. It was a big learning curve. It took a lot of studying.
Yeah, like in terms of knowing the cocktail specs or...
And even different liqueurs. Or I remember this moment when we were unpacking everything and everybody else kind of has experience. And they go, okay, we'll put the Amaros here, the liqueurs here, and it all just made sense to them immediately. And I was like, I'll break down the boxes. It's like, I need to learn this, but I was just, it was in that moment, you're just rushing and overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just kind of observing and taking notes where I can, and also just doing a lot of, making the flashcards for not only the drinks on the menu, but classic cocktails, learning where they come from, just reading some books, getting online, trying to just delve in. I just completely delved into what being a bartender means.
Huh. That's cool. And so from when you first started getting behind the bar till now, how long has that been?
A little over 3 years.
3 years you've been doing that. Mm-hmm. I know it's funny listening to you talk. I'm starting to think about when I first got behind the bar, and you're like, all the whiskeys are here, the liquor, the vodkas are here. There's bottom shelf, top shelf, like there's rye, there's the wine, like all this in here. It's like it's
and then the wine, yeah.
Oh my gosh, the wine.
Although I had worked in the wine bar, and I always loved to drink wine and got very into it when I worked at the Rose. So okay. I felt a little bit, like I had some knowledge. I know what I like. I know what certain grapes taste like, things like that. So it was definitely overwhelming at first. And then I'm learning a POS system.
Yeah.
I had never used Toast really, not as a front of house person. So it was definitely a lot at once. I was like, okay, here we go. And then learning to barback. Barbacking is a tough gig. It's a lot of lifting and this balancing act of getting this priority list and just going, okay, I'm going to do this next and this, and then finding your next step, which can relate to the kitchen a little bit too, but it's frantic and there's so many variables, because then a guest could say, oh, I have this question or this and that, and you're, oh, I lost my focus, or things like that you have to kind of work through and just gain your experience. Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, dude, it's like learning steps of the restaurant. It's like, there's like oftentimes there's an order, if you really want to start, it's like the porter, then dishwasher, mm-hmm. then busser, food runner, barback, either waiter, or that's when you kind of go, do I want to wait tables? Do I want to get behind the bar? And then there's like management, and then there's like, it's like there's all these different steps.
Yeah.
Dude, it's intimidating. It's intimidating when you're going through those processes. I remember when I went from being a waiter to being thrown behind a busy Greenwich Village bar in New York City.
Really?
With like no bar backing training, I didn't know how to make cocktails.
You went straight to bartending?
Dude, they just tossed me in the fire, dude. We were at Bleecker and McDougal Street in Greenwich Village in Manhattan. And you start with the lunch. The way I got behind the bar first was there was a massive snowstorm. And the bartender who was supposed to work lunch the next day, his kid was going to be called out of school, and he said, Scott, the manager, dude, there's nobody going to be here. I got to take care of my kid. Can we just put Taylor behind the bar tomorrow?
Yeah.
And he goes, sure. And then I did. I probably did like $150 of sales that lunch shift, and boom, that was my end. But then from there, I get to pick up shifts, and I'm like, oh, you're working a busy Thursday night happy hour. And for me, there's no bar backs. It was just me behind this one bar. So it was dude, you got it. So I went from like, just your head is spinning. Like I didn't know I don't know how to make a martini. I don't know what a count was. And it was like a busy one of the not cocktail bar. It was beer and it was cheeseburgers and martinis was the concept of JG Mellon. So
sounds incredible.
So I just basically have had to figure this whole thing out. Like I wasn't studying, like what you did was the right way to do it. And that's what I would tell people to do. But you got to look for opportunities. And when something's granted to you, you jump on it and you say, and that's how everything in my life I've done is just like, go. And sometimes it doesn't work out and you just,
but that's okay too. And then you kind of figure it out from there. I saw this quick clip of Amy Poehler, and she was saying that I really loved what she said. She was basically like, not everyone you can't always wait until you think that you're perfectly ready for something. Sometimes you just have to go for it. And she compared it to a parade. You can wait for the perfect float, but the parade's going to go by either way. And I loved that. I was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like maybe you and I were both just like, okay, I'm just going to hop on this float. And wave. Smile and wave.
Waiting tables in New York started as a summer job for me. And it's turned into, I was 20 at the time.
I was going to say, how old were you? Yeah.
I started bussing tables at 15, started waiting tables at 18, and then was in school, was doing it kind of on and off. And then 27 is really when I got behind the bar. Mm-hmm. When that happens, it was the snowstorm.
Yeah.
And then the ability to pick up.
Very New York story. I love it.
Yeah, dude. Those snowstorms in New York City are no joke. I mean, the streets get shut down, like
I bet.
Feet of snow. Anyways, they opened a second restaurant, and I was able to work. I was able to get the Monday, Tuesday night bartending shift at the slow Upper West Side J.G. Mellon's restaurant.
Okay.
So you go from picking up shifts to the new place that's dead when nobody comes in, which I make $150 a shift. And to slowly getting it, that restaurant closed down, and I ended up getting a bartending job over in New Jersey, working in the sports club and the sports bar nightclub kind of type bar.
Oh, okay.
So I went from like neighborhood, sort of like cheeseburger martinis, casual, to fast-paced DJ, green tea shots, line them up, Casamigos, which is a completely different style of bartending.
Yeah.
And they both have their pros and cons. You need speed. And again, I didn't have speed. So I had to just like, I walked in. I saw the post. I texted the GM, my name's Taylor. I think he thought I was like a female because they wanted female bartenders. He sees my big dumb face walk through the door. And then new bar opening up. We don't really have anybody. He looks like he has his shit together. That's what they kind of do.
Yeah.
When you're applying for a job, you can put whatever you want on a resume. It's like there's something about your personality and the way you carry yourself and the way you talk where like veteran people in this industry can tell whether you're full of shit or not.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes getting a job in this industry can be kind of wild. I remember my interview when I went to go get the job at Trust. I had gone to eat there and I just fell in love with the whole thing. I was like, this is so cool. And I meet the chef and he goes, okay, I don't have a lot of time and you got to go to work. So let's get right down to the brass tacks. And it was like a 2-minute conversation.
Yeah.
It's not always like that, but it can be for sure.
It can. It's a read. It's like, what's this person's, okay. Cause here's what I like to say. So much of the restaurant is like your character and your attitude as opposed to, I know 200 cocktails. Right. It's like the saying, I've heard other people say this. It's not whether you can make 200 cocktails. It's like, will you make them correctly in a fast time and with a smile on your face? You know?
Yeah.
So I think that like the way I got hired at Stell Public House, I showed up to town. I didn't know anybody. And I was in PB looking for work at the beach bars. And some guy was like, hey, dude, you're probably not going to have much luck here being you. Why don't you try the gas lamp? I didn't know what the gas lamp was.
Yeah.
So I parked down by Petco Park and I walked up Fifth Avenue and I walked into every restaurant.
Yeah.
From the park all the way up through Broadway. And I was done, handed out a ton of resumes. And then I just kept going and I wanted to get some food. And then I saw this bar, Stell Public House, and this pub open sign. I was done for the day. I'd already eaten dinner. I was about to go home and I said, hey, why not? I walk in, I say, hey, are you guys hiring by any chance? And Eileen was behind the bar and she goes, yeah, let me go get Mark real quick. Cause it was at post-COVID. They were struggling. And Mark just looks me up and down and he goes, how's it going? And he goes, can you come in tomorrow at 4? And I was like, oh, what? And that was the first place that hired me.
That is so cool. And then you've worked there since?
Been there for 3.5 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's cool.
That is a cool story. I like that a lot. Yeah. And I like that where you were trying to get a job, I think sometimes kind of the jobs you don't get can shape you as well, or having a really honest manager who's like, you don't want this job, or like, this isn't the right fit, but like, here's my advice. And it's, even though you don't work for them because you never get the job, that can really shape you in a lot of ways.
It can. And you do meet, it's funny you say that because I try to do that. When people come in asking for work, I say, unfortunately, we're not hiring right now, but here's where I would go if I wanted work.
Yeah.
Because you want to be, because like, look, it's competitive. and you want to be kind to people because it's a tough industry, dude. We're not like, I think everyone thinks that if you're a bartender, you're just like making six figures and you're going out to eat and like you're like have this like luxurious life. It's a lot of labor. It's a lot of stress. The money's not, it depends where you're at, you know, and it's like, so
depends on the season. It depends on a lot of factors.
And it's just like, you want to give back to the industry and be kind to people and stuff because I don't know. I think people have done that with me. I remember when I was at Stout, it was only part-time at first. I got like 2 days a week. So I was looking for other jobs and I walked in, there's a bar, I think it was like right next to Craft and Commerce. Maybe it was Craft and Commerce I'd walked into. And this woman goes, "We're not hiring, but the bar, there's a great place I like to send people called Underbelly, which is in Little Italy." She said they do pretty well over there. So I was actually training in Underbelly while I was working at Stout, trying to figure out like the city and like this thing. And then I ended up being like Underbelly, Stout, two completely different bars. I'm going to roll with the Stout. And, you do want to kind of like, I think that's like one of the concepts of our conversation today is how do we grow and professionally, mentally, physically, creatively, you know, because it's a tough industry, dude. Yeah. I have a lot of my friends who don't have jobs right now. And they're like, you know, that's tough. Real.
It's very, like you said, it's very competitive and it can be really tough. And the times I feel are always changing and the industry is always kind of reacting to these changes and it can be rough to find your spot, your home.
Yeah. And sometimes that takes a couple times. I mean, not everybody finds your home on your first gig. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to learn the system and you learn, you know, there's a hierarchy and there's, you know, the old guard and you come into some of these places and it's like, I've worked at places when I was at that JG Mellon I was telling you about, I had one of the best managers I've ever had. Her name was Christina. And she was best attitude I've ever had, worked with somebody who had that as a manager that I worked with. And, you know, for years she worked there and then she left and then management changes and the whole culture of the bar changes. Yeah. And you had this relationship with your GM and then they leave and you're kind of like, oh no, the whole culture, you know, it changes everything. Yeah. So it's like my thing is like, I always try to be kind to people. I always try to, you know, send people to other bars. When our kitchen's closed at Stout, I send people to the other bar down the street where I know their kitchen's open. It's more like I try not to have a scarcity mindset. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's good hospitality at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's kind of like
just taking care of people, just whatever their needs are.
True. It's very true. You were just kind of talking about like how the bars, like, you know, there are these trends that we see coming and going. Like, what are you guys doing over at Mabel's right now that you kind of like that, I don't know, is maybe behind the bar with the food or like what's going on at Mabel's right now?
Well, let's see. A couple of months ago, not too long ago, we did a whole revamp of the cocktail menu. Okay. Something that we do seasonally. It's usually more spring and summer and then fall and winter. And the whole bar team contributes to the cocktail menu. So we do these R&D sessions. And the kitchen also around the same time rolled out their fall menu. And they did such a great job. All of the dishes are so good. And I feel like in particular at Mabel's, it's just we get a lot of inspiration from each other. Okay. Whether it's an ingredient the kitchen is using, and like for a minute it didn't end up panning out, but I was trying to use, the kitchen had a lot of buttermilk and I was like, okay, well, what if I used buttermilk in this cocktail and or vice versa. We did this really fun event. We called it Sherry Week Social. There's International Sherry Week, was at the beginning of November. And we did a kind of class where we had an expert come in and talk about the sherry. And then I talked about how we use sherry in cocktails at Mabel's. And then I got with Chef. We tried everything. And he did, like, for example, a gimlet. I don't know if you've had the gimlet there, but it's one of our kind of staples on the menu. And it's a clarified lime cordial. It's an agar clarification. It has macru lime leaf in it, little coriander, fennel, lime juice, lime peels. So Chef tasted the gimlet and he's like, oh, what if I did a macru oil and put it on an oyster? And then that kind of pairs with your gimlet. And so it was just like kind of this really fun conversation of inspiring each other. But yeah, lots of changes and lots of good things. I feel like the menu we have going right now is, we don't have a holiday menu per se, but some stuff that's definitely fitting for the season.
I think that's cool, is you're working with your chef in back of house to pair. I mean, I think that's cool. I don't hear a lot of places doing that. That's like real teamwork right there. Like,
It's
how can we come together to make this the best restaurant we can?
Yeah, I think it can be really beneficial when you kind of work together. I think that Mabel's not only culture, but even, we're kind of talking about design earlier, and the design of Mabel's is very much, you have your bar and you have your kitchen, and there's our chef's counter right along the kitchen, and then the bar seats, and it's almost perfectly symmetrical. They're both out there in the dining room. The kitchen's a little longer, I think, and then the bar arches around, but it's just a lot of equality between front of back of house, and a lot of communication, and the design of the restaurant almost kind of fosters that, because everyone's right there. We're all in the same space, and we're talking to each other, and they're watching us make drinks, and I'm watching them cook, and I feel like it just kind of fosters that teamwork.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool aspect watching people. I don't know. The restaurant industry is almost, it feels like it's the trending towards the entertainment a little bit. And I think the evolution and history of the industry is really interesting. How like fast food sort of like shaped and started transforming the way we like eat and interact with food and things like that.
Yeah.
McDonald's was a big part of that.
Oh yeah.
And now it's like, we're moving into designing spaces and the social media and the Instagram, and how do you get people in here, and open kitchens and watching people cook, and people go out to watch us work.
Yeah.
It's how do you play that? Like, how do you play to that card? I just think about these things. It's sort of interesting, you know?
Yeah, the entertainment factor is big. And I feel like our line cooks definitely get a little bit of it, because they're interacting with guests too, and people are asking them questions. Oh yeah, it's right there.
I've been to your bar a couple times.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were like talking to customers though. That's nuts, dude.
They'll run food if they have time and talk about it. It's pretty cool. I actually, for the first time myself, sat at the chef's counter and had dinner with my partner, and it's fun. It's a fun place to sit. It's cool. And then you can also there's certain parts of the bar where you can see right back into the kitchen.
Yeah,
and
that's where you sit on that little. Yeah, that's my
little curve.
When I walk in any bar, that's always my favorite seat. Is I sit all the way to the right, so it's like an L, right? And I like to sit at the little tiny corner end of the L.
Yeah,
I put my back against the wall. You can see everyone coming in the door. You can see everybody.
It's like a nice safe spot, and you can see everything going on.
You can see the bartenders work. A lot of people
prefer that. They're like, I'm going,
that's always,
I want to go here.
When I visit you, that's always where I'll sit. And you can see the people make the food in the kitchen and stuff like that. It's that's really interesting, is your line cooks are touching tables.
Yeah, I mean, they're not all the time. They're really busy, but if they can, if it's a slow night and there's someone right on the other side, or our seat 1 at the chef's counter is right next to the pass, where chef is calling out all the tickets and sending out all the food and finishing them with oil and salt. And so people are gonna, they're gonna ask. They're gonna be like, what are you doing? What's that?
if you're any kind of foodie, or if you're in the industry, that's probably the hot seat, because you just get to observe all the cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then as far as behind the bar, I mean, of course, that's an entertainment factor as well. You want to keep people engaged. One of my favorite things is when bar guests will make friends with other bar guests.
Yeah.
And if you kind of are able to create this certain kind of vibe, they'll start talking to each other, and they'll start upselling dishes to each other. And that's when I'm like, all right, this is good. Like, people are having a good time. They're making friends. They're talking about, we got this dish. You should get this. It's really good. Or like, try this drink, or anything like that. They'll just vouch for it right in front of your eyes, and it's really cool to see. Because at the end of the day, the guests are going to trust the other guests more than the person who's being paid to upsell.
Very true.
And I mean, I will. That's my job, of course. And I'm a very honest person, so I will give you my 100% honest opinion and kind of feel where you're at, how hungry you are, what you like, what you don't like. But at the end of the day, when someone next to you goes, "This is really good, get this," it holds so much weight.
There's so many aspects to bartending, and you can memorize all the cocktails, but like what you're talking about is like creating the atmosphere and the conversation and the hospitality aspect.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really important. And it seems like the times that I've been in a Mabel's, and from what you're telling me with the people in the kitchen who are touching tables, like you guys do have that hospitality element.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really important aspect of a restaurant and bar that I oftentimes think that people, it requires discipline, and it's just like it's a personality and sort of a mindset and an attitude to have. But that's really important. So it's cool that you're focusing on those things, and you're kind of like understanding. I think more people need to focus on that.
Definitely. I think that our opening bar manager and my coworker, Danny and Tony just really taught me not just how to bartend, because they did train me on that, and they were very like, this is how it's done, and they're very like, they really pushed me to be better.
Yeah.
But also I am just like working with Danny so much, and Danny is just the expert at creating like that really fun vibe. Everybody loves Danny. He has regulars that love to come see him. I remember starting out and just, we have this regular couple, and they would always try to sit next to Danny, and then they would sit next to me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just going to try my best here. And like, they were so sweet, and now they want to sit next to me. So it takes some time with regulars to kind of create that trust. He has that, and I've learned so much from him.
It's just time. It's like learning to curate the conversation. And I mean, I think for like the majority of my bartending career, I haven't like, I'm in this constant learning process of like constantly trying to just get better. And like, I learned so much from going out to restaurants and watching what other people are doing.
Definitely. Yeah.
Watching how bartenders interact with the guests. And sometimes there's conflict, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I do that dumb thing that he just did. I need to stop that. It's just It's like observing and stuff. Are you bringing anything? So for the menu, is that you who's you said you all sort of contribute to the cocktail menu and stuff.
Yeah. So we all kind of put our heads together. Every time we want to change the menu, we have a meeting. We go over, okay, what cocktails do we want to take off? What do we want to put on? Yeah. Oh, I've had this idea sitting in my brain for 1.5 years. I think it could replace this. I think it might be the time. Huh. And then we do a few different R&D sessions so we each will kind of like claim certain ones, or be like, okay, I'm going to focus on this, I'm going to focus on that. And we all end up helping each other out, but it just helps to not step on each other's toes too much, or we'll try to have there's a lot of communication that goes into it. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to use sherry. Sherry's a big one, because our cocktails are largely Spanish influenced.
You got that Spanish G&T on that menu.
Yeah, we've got
Some say that's the best drink in the city. And I'm not even trying to joke. Like, my friend Zach was like, this is the best drink in the city.
We definitely sell that the most. People really, really love it. It's cool. It's kind of, I'll go on a little side tangent about that if that's okay. Yeah. But the Nordis gin that goes in the Spanish G&T is the impetus of the restaurant. Huh. Our owners, Chelsea and Ray, they were in Spain, and they were on the coast, and they were drinking that gin because it's very popular in Spain, drinking G&Ts in these big globes with lots of garnish, eating fish right on the coast. And they're like, this is really cool. And this is also very similar to San Diego. So like, why don't we kind of get our inspiration from here and build something that has a local seafood program in San Diego, where there's so much great seafood? And so this Nordis gin, it's like, it's so apart. It's like the heart and soul of the restaurant. So it's very validating and cool that people just love that G&T so much. And the tonic was created to kind of mimic certain flavors and just really pair well with that gin. And it pairs well with a lot of gins. We do the London Dry, and then the rotating one, which is rotating. Yeah. We switch it up and I'll definitely try different gins and be like, okay, what is going to go with our tonic? Because we make our own tonic, and it's specific.
You guys are really getting creative. I think it's so cool when places are doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's kind of like the G&Ts, the Dirty Martini and the Gimlet are the framework that will never change. And everything else is kind of like up for discussion. So we talk about it and we go, okay, well, I had this idea. And, but yeah, the whole reason I kind of started on the tangent was we try not to duplicate too many ingredients, you know? Fino sherry is so delicious in cocktails. It would go great in every single cocktail, but then you're going to read the menu and then you're going to be like, well, I don't like sherry. What am I going to do? So you have to have something for everyone. We have kind of a focus on sustainability or using what we have. I created this orange cordial because we're just peeling so many oranges for old fashions and Negronis, and we just have to use that orange juice for something. There's so much.
Yeah. Sustainability is something that a lot of places are starting to focus on.
Yeah. And I don't even know if that's the right term, but just seeing a excess and finding a solution for it.
Yeah.
Which I guess,
problem solving.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of the hospitality industry at any position, you know, because so at Stout, we have my coworkers I'm the youngest one by a lot, by many years. And I work around people who are in their 40s and 50s. And you think that like they're constantly problem solving. I mean, new problems arise all the time with customers, with backup with orders, with the credit card machine, with the food. And it's like I'm around. What I've learned is like I'm around people who constantly are training their brains how to problem solve. There's a disgruntled customer who's coming off the street into the bar. How do we constantly deal with that? And that's what I think people who want to have longevity in this career need to wrap their head around that. It's not about like, look at me, I'm this great bartender. It's like, how can I constantly be trying to be better at this craft and understand more and learn more, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because at the end of the day, it's about the guest and it's about them having a good time. And it's also about your cost. So it's like, how can I cut costs is always when I'm trying to craft cocktails. That's definitely a big part of it. Or what is this product that's sitting on the shelf that we need to kind of find a home for,
or find a way to sell?
Yeah.
Well, it's been there for 6 months. Why is this bottle there? We need to get
dusty.
rid of it.
We need to dust it off and put it in something.
Because it's like the restaurant. It's constantly evolving, and we seem to be in this social media driven age of marketing right now. And that's like, you know, I brought on a friend of mine, a girl named Rain, who runs a social media agency, Garcia Media Works. And that's what we talked about, is like how to drive, like she is essentially what she does for a career and a full-time revenue is like try to drive sales to bars and restaurants. And the creativity that you're doing behind the bar and everything like that. There's just so many other areas in this hospitality industry, how we can be part of this team and make it work and have everybody get paid. Because like the most important thing, and when I've never run a bar, but I've worked around people who've run bars for a long time, obviously, is like it needs to make money. If the bar's not making money, none of us have jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when the economy is the way it is, like how do you do that? How do you do that at an affordable cost? Sustainability is one, you know. And I'm always, and like this podcast is another one. Somebody will listen to this and come visit you at the bar. I guarantee you, because all the other guests have said that.
That would be awesome.
But it's like, you got to get creative and like, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like our management team is always trying to think of new ways. Events has been a thing for us that we've been focusing on this year. We have a gal who's planning all our events and she's doing the social media, and she and I kind of like going back to the Sherry Week social was kind of an idea that we, you know, our rep came to us and wanted to do something for Sherry Week, and we put our heads together and kind of came up with this format for something that we had never done before. We've never done a tasting like that with cocktails involved. I did like a demo of the cocktails, and then we had the bites, and took a few kind of months of thinking about it and planning it and getting with chef. But we're also just like private events. We're just trying to like, what can be fun for people? What's going to set us apart and make people want to come here? And it was really successful. People had a really good time. It was so sweet. Another thing that we do over there is a quarterly gin club.
Oh, wow.
So that's been really fun. Since I've been bar lead, I kind of took the lead on the gin club, which is picking a gin, finding, if we can, someone from the company to come and pour the gin and chat with people about it. You get the product to make 2 different cocktails. And then we have this pickup event where they're talking about it. There's snacks. You get the cocktails for half off. You get a custom tote. And it's been really cool to see and to kind of, I've been consistently doing it now for about 1.5 years.
Oh.
So I'm making the drinks, finding the gin, and then just interacting with the gin club members and seeing them every time and them coming in and being excited. And, you know, they come into the bar as well. We had some gin club members there last week and they were like kind of excited. I'm like, what's it going to be? And it's fun. It's a really fun kind of thing that kind of branches from the Rose has a great wine club. And so this is kind of the gin format of that.
It's not, you're just doing all this fostering of connections. And it's like, that's what
the connection and the community and the networking between these people and each other. And it's really cool to see right in front of your eyes.
Though that's such a foundation of the hospitality industry is community, fostering connection, you know, and when we are constantly, getting repetitions at this, that's how we build steps professionally long term, you know?
Yeah.
Because maybe you work at Mabel's for the rest of your career. Maybe I don't know, what do you want to do long term? Like, we've kind of talked a little bit at the bar about maybe you thought about product design and something like that. Like, is that something that you think about?
I think sometimes I draw inspiration from, not inspiration from, but I get inspired by a really good product.
Okay.
Like a consumer packaged product.
Okay.
And I think that might be kind of a world I would want to delve into at some point. I mean, do you know Cool Hand Co., the shrubs?
Nope.
A local guy started the shrub company and it has really great marketing and labeling, and he has kind of blown up.
Oh.
And then uses that in a bar program that he created. And I think that's so cool that you're using your own product that you created.
What kind of product is it?
It's a shrub. They're little bottled shrubs.
So it's for garnish, or what's a shrub? Is like a plant?
Oh, no. A shrub is, it's like a type of syrup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
It's like fruit and sugar and a little bit of vinegar, and that macerates. I don't know exactly his process. I don't want to speak to his thing, so but he has some really cool flavors. He has like a kumquat lavender one. We sell it in our bottle shop next door.
Yeah.
I think a strawberry. I might be messing up these flavors, but
okay.
I think that's such a cool idea. And I think, we're talking about how this industry has a reputation of you're just like rolling in the dough. And I don't think that's always the case. And I think diversifying income, like the way which you're doing with your podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the red.
The goal.
I'm not even close to the black. Hopefully someday I'll get there.
But the idea right. That
trying
you're
to come
kind
up
of
with new ideas to drive sales and build money, make money and stuff. You got to think outside the box and be creative.
Yes. Thinking outside the box to kind of diversify income is a thought that I've had. It's, I think, pretty hard to get into. Yeah. So that's something that I've kind of thought about, but I don't even have anything to plug. It's not like it's just kind of like where do you go? Yeah.
I mean, look, it's good to start thinking about these things.
Yeah.
It's not about like, I need to have a product in 6 months.
It's just like a tiny
maybe
idea.
In 5 years from now, I think you talked about working with one of those like celebrity chefs who has an Instagram following.
Yeah.
And maybe like learning from that person and what they're like. I'm a big believer of you hang around successful people and it rubs off.
Yeah. So I recently got a gig. I'm a brand ambassador for a company called AO.
Okay.
Which is mayonnaise.
Okay.
The celebrity chef is Molly Boz, and she started this mayo company with like real herbs and fresh ingredients mixed in. And because of my culinary background, I'm like, oh, I genuinely am a fan of her. I love this product. They were looking for brand ambassadors, and I was interested how they rolled out in Whole Foods and now hired these brand ambassadors to do these demos. And I'm like, what does that look like? How do you collect feedback from the general public and like make a product and get it on a shelf? It's just something that I don't know about yet, but I'd love to learn more. And then I think down the road, my partner and I would just love to open our own place. Like that's the dream, right? I think a lot of people who are in this industry and are staying in this industry is because they want to have their own place one day. And you're collecting all this information and trying to see, okay, well, like, how can I make this my own? And how can I make a place that people want to come to and create a culture or an environment where people want to hang out and come back to?
Yeah.
It's like you're just collecting all this information. And
I think it's so important to just observe and be inquisitive and to like pick up little things. There's people who own restaurants who are investors and they have money and they want to put it into jobs or they want to give other opportunity to people to run their businesses. And you can kind of tell sometimes. And then there's people who have been through the entire industry who start restaurants, and it's like I don't know. The guys I work with. So Stout's been around for 18 years and they opened it together. And they work the bar every day and they're there on site, and I just learn about the little things that these guys do, the successful things. And when they make mistakes, it's like, watching them. So it would be cool. I think that's cool. Do you have an idea of, would you want to stay with fish? Would you want to, do San Diego? Is it like, I don't,
I think the goal would be San Diego.
Okay.
I'm from here.
Yeah.
My partner's from here. It's our home. It's where we've grown up, literally, and then also in the industry.
So you kind of,
Yeah. So I think we would love to. I mean, I think I hear it from so many people, and it would be just so amazing to try to open a space. And it's terrifying to think about. But yeah, that's the goal.
Well, you know what? You never know. Like, we're both in our early mid-30s. Like, sometimes these things happen in our 40s, And like the culture, the industry changes, the economy changes. Like, they say California is really hard to open a restaurant in.
Yeah.
Because of the cost, the taxes, just so many things, so many factors.
All the permits, getting everything together it takes some time.
It does. You know what? People are doing it. Some of them are failing. Some of them are succeeding. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's all about location, who you do it with, the circumstances, your concept, the people it's like, there's so many different things to go on. I don't have the answers to all those things, but
right. I think the concept also should kind of tie into the location. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I mean, I can dream about concepts, of course, but I wouldn't say I have anything nailed down, because like, where is this place going to be? Like, what would it be like?
It's true. Very true. Yeah. I don't know. I think, I don't know if I'd want to, because of what you're talking about. Like, you do learn what goes into running restaurants, and how challenging it is, and how it's like, it's one thing to do it to open a restaurant and then to be successful for a year. But then, like, you don't open a restaurant to be successful for 1 year. You open a restaurant to be successful for 10, 15, 20 plus years.
Yep.
And that's a hard ball to keep spinning. That's why I give a lot of these places credit who are doing it, I'm trying to support these people, gas them up, like, talk to them, get some wisdom from them, because it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's really tough. And then, I mean, things just change so much. And I mean, when you think about how many restaurants and bars have gone in and been great, and, they usually, unless it's like a place that's been there for 50 years and is like a mainstay, eventually it might close, because that's just kind of how it happens.
Yep.
So that's just something to think about as well. That's why I think about the diversifying.
Yeah. And finding a different way to make some money on the other side too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
notoriously, restaurant owners don't make money for a couple of years.
Yeah, it takes
a long time.
Right. You invest, you get a loan out from the bank.
Yeah.
And it takes a couple of years, 1, 2, 3 plus years. I mean, that's just what I've heard. Maybe other people are doing it differently.
I think it looks different for everybody, but yeah, it's definitely something that, it's funny because, I've been in bars for a few years. I've been in restaurants for a long time. As a kid, I didn't wasn't a kid who was like, I want to grow up to be a chef or a bartender. But I remember having this dream when I was really small, like 9 or 10. And I was like, I want to own a smoothie shop. This is like peak Jamba Juice. And I was like, you put fruit in the blender, you blend it up, it makes this delicious concoction. And that's like, my little brain could really wrap my head around that. Huh. I was like, this totally makes sense. And I love smoothies. I should open a smoothie shop. I also had I have a much older sister. And at the time she had opened this cafe. It was up in Humboldt where she lives. Yeah. Like a coffee shop, cafe. They did pastries. It had a very awesome community vibe. And I remember going to visit, and I think that maybe like sparked my industry interest a little bit. Huh. And my parents bought me a blender for Christmas, and I would like make smoothies and like really fail at it too. So I'm 10 years old and like putting too much vanilla extract or whatever it is. But I think this little seed was planted, and it was always kind of there. And so it's kind of funny to see how life circles back sometimes like that.
Yeah, it's like that.
Maybe I'll open a smoothie shop.
Well, it's like you were almost like, sounds like you're drawn by creativity, like making something. Yeah. And that turned into working with food and making drinks, and I like the social media and stuff. I like making, I don't really make cocktails at home. I do like special I do coffee. I got the pour over.
Oh yeah.
I got the hand grinder, like the kettle, the scale. Like that's every morning I'm just making something. I have one of those little blenders too. I do like making food at home. It's really when you're getting your ass kicked at a bar all week, and then like on your off night making this big dinner is like really tiring. So I don't really cook too much, but it's interesting to see, the creativity, how that like shapes us and draws us, everything. You're just talking about your sibling did a coffee shop. I've heard that though the small businesses that yield high profit margins are like pizza shops, coffee shops, and ice cream shops, because of the cost of those things is so low, and the premium. And that's why I started making my coffee at home. I was like doing the math. You go out, you buy like a $5, $6, $7 coffee. It cost me like 40 cents to make that with the beans.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, dude, I drink probably 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day.
Oh, you're big coffee.
So I was like, dude, this is like a big bill of mine. Yeah. So that's when I bought a scale and I bought a hand grinder, and I was like, dude, this is in 6 months is going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's really funny. I baristaed for a very short amount of time in my early 20s. Not like the way baristas are today with the latte art and all this like amazing stuff. But I also worked in an ice cream shop for a while, doing the back of house of that. I was doing ice cream production. And it's just such a good business. Everybody loves ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream. And your product is frozen. It's maybe eventually we'll get ice burn, but your product is frozen. It's like, it's not going to just go bad on you in a day. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Ice cream is really cool.
Yeah. People aren't too like grumpy walking up to the ice cream.
Yeah, it's fun.
Unlike what they deal with us at the pub, you know what I mean? Like you get people in the gas lamp who are like wasted and just screaming at me because their buffalo wings they got at the last restaurant were overcooked, and we don't have the right buffalo anyway. So that's more of a personal problem.
Well, you mentioned kind of like disgruntled like guests coming in, and is that something that you deal with often in the gas lamp?
Just like we're right outside the gas lamp, and it is we're right by that train station. Stout's a great bar. It's honestly, I'm so happy there. And
I want to come visit you.
You got to come visit. It's a local neighborhood bar. It's not touristy. Well, we do play off the Symphony in the Civic Center. It's sort of like a pre and post dinner place.
Oh, cool.
So it's like you get the rush beforehand. Everyone wants their shepherd's pie, the Reuben sandwich, corned beef and cabbage.
Yeah.
And then it dies. They all go to the show, and then the show ends, and you get hit with the wave again. And we also
want their nightcaps.
They want their nightcaps.
Yeah.
All the people who are in the San Diego Symphony, the band members, they all come in. We know them all.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know, the violin, they bring their big, instruments with them and stuff. It's really cool. They're all in their black suits.
Yeah.
But it's a huge industry following, and it's a neighborhood. We're a hockey bar.
Okay.
So we have we show all the hockey. We're the hockey bar of San Diego. It's really cool. But it's also, you get, like every bar and restaurant has to deal with people who are walking in, who have been drinking in the gas lamp all night, who are, there's a couple, Spin nightclub is a couple blocks down. So you kind of get a little bit of that pour over,
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a really big mental health crisis and homeless problem in that neighborhood too. So I'm constantly, it's just those are the things that I kind of deal with, I think, a lot, are just managing those types of people.
Yeah.
And that's a skill set that's has its own. I've been punched a couple times.
Oh no.
I had a person spit on me once. But
That's wild.
It's a learning experience. I think at first I was kind of whoa, dude, I have to learn how to work at a bar like this.
Yeah.
And but after you get it, you keep doing it, and you're nervous.
You get punched a couple of times, and you're
a couple homeless women, just a little upside the head, bop bop. And then, but now it's oh, I know how to handle these situations.
Yeah.
It's learning to bartend. It's oh my gosh, the rush, I have to do all this.
Yeah.
But then one of these, it just kind of clicks, and you forget one day, you're oh wow, I'm not nervous anymore, or I'm confident in these things.
Yeah.
It's the same way with dealing with those types of people too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just take your time.
Yeah, I think one big thing with that is just if you just remain calm and breathe, and I have a group of people who are over intoxicated yelling at me because I won't serve them or let them be in the bar, and just when people insult you, I just try to remember I don't take those things personally anymore.
Yeah.
I just remember if you're gonna talk to people like that, that's clearly a reflection of you and not a representation of me. So, because oh, you're a stupid ass bartender. Why won't you let us in or serve us? She's not that drunk. He's not that drunk. I'm just you know what, dude? I kind of just drop emotion there. I'm this is what's going to happen. You're not getting drink. This isn't a negotiation. I'm not going to change my minds.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I don't give people an option.
Yeah. You can't give people an inch that'll take a mile in certain situations when they've been overserved somewhere else. I mean, North Park has plenty of bars in the area, and we've got the observatory there. So kind of similar with the shows and all this, but that's something that was a learning curve for me, definitely, is kind of just sticking to your guns and being absolutely not, and not taking anything personally. Yeah. I feel my personality maybe lends to that a little bit at first, and then I learned you just have to not take things personally. And I we closed the bar down kind of on the earlier side. Yeah. We usually do last call at 11. It's a restaurant first, so we're not staying open till super late usually. And sometimes people will come in and we've already shut down. You have to tell them we're not serving. And they're oh, well, they'll try to bargain with you. What about this? What about that? And they can be really mean. They can be really mean. They can get very offended and be really mean. And it's just you just have to say, I'm sorry. You
have to remove emotion from it. You kind of have to go into that. I know it sounds silly, but a little bit of the security guard police officer. So it's not happening.
Yeah.
But it can be when it's just you and there's 8 drunk people and they're all jacked up because they just came out from the nightclub, or they got kicked out of some other, or the House of Blues is across the street. We'll have people be I just got kicked out of the House of Blues and I need a beer. And I'm
no.
Not happening.
You're go home. That's us. That's a part of hospitality too. It's we want you to have a good time, and it's time to go home, and you have to be
yeah.
I want you to feel okay the next day.
It does suck though, because I've also been the guy out who's drunk at a bar and the bartender's not tonight, dude. I'm what do you mean, bro? I know it from both ends,
I've definitely been cut off at a bar.
Yeah.
And I'm what happened? The next day I'm oh, that sucks. I hate that for myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I do a good job of getting myself home. I can't remember the last time I was cut off. I don't really go out too much.
I don't either, but
do you have is there a local spot you like to go to, you and your partner, or?
Yeah. We have our favorites, definitely. I mean, PTL is right across the street from Mabel's. My boyfriend is a big record collector, so we're pretty tight with the guys in the back at the record shop, and it's just always good music close. It's a fun spot to just grab a drink and hang out. We love Happy Medium is very fun.
Yeah,
that's just
McLean has been on the podcast.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart. Everyone there, Jessa, everyone is just so sweet, and I feel like you just get really good hospitality there.
Yeah.
My boyfriend and I went, it was the Super Bowl. We're not crazy like sports fans. So we're like, let's go get lunch and like before things get crazy out there. And we went to Happy Medium for lunch before the game started, and we ended up staying for almost the whole thing.
You're good at that.
Yeah, like I was just like, oh, I'm watching the game and everyone's excited, and yeah, I'm not, I do like watching the Super Bowl. I'm not wildly invested in sports otherwise, but like it's the Super Bowl. Yeah. It's very fun. So I feel like that's a really fun spot. And then Cantina Maya Well, gotta give them a little shout out.
Yeah.
It's great. They got great margaritas and food, and it's such a relaxed environment, and it's been around for quite a long time. And it is this kind of like, not crazy hidden, but they don't have like a crazy sign outside either. Like I remember the first time going there and I'm like, oh, it's kind of this like hidden fun spot. And yeah, we like to go there and sit out on the patio and just relax and eat food and drink margaritas. It's very fun.
I try to try new spots, dude. I've been out here for 3.5 years, and it's cool. It's a great city. San Diego is a great hospitality city. There's a lot of really cool restaurants, cool bars. People are doing stuff. I think lately we've been hanging out up at Lancers.
Oh, nice.
Chelsea's behind the bar up there. That's a cool spot. Here in OB, we used to go to Lucy's a lot. I don't go there too much anymore. And then, I try to, if I didn't work at Stout, I would be drinking at Stout Public House.
Yeah.
It's a cool local neighborhood industry bar.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a no frills Irish pub. It's not like, it's like, yo, this is who we are. We're not trying to be anybody else. Come in, have a beer and a shot, talk to it's a lot of talk. Everybody's talking at Stout. So I love, it's just kind of when I'm like there, I feel like I'm at work. So I kind of try to like get out of there, but
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got all the all the customers and the staff and my coworkers. And
we
stuff,
love to go to the Rose as well. And I get a discount, which doesn't hurt. And the food's great. And there's good wine. I love drinking wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, this is a funny story. I don't know anything about wine, and I work at an Irish bar, and Somcom, are you familiar with that? It's a big wine festival.
Yeah.
I was given an opportunity to like go work and do media stuff there. Dude, it was so, oh man.
Were you just out of your element a little bit?
Out of my elements. I was hanging around a lot of wine people. I didn't know. I kind of like took that approach. I took the approach of like, I don't know anything about wine. Teach me about wine. But I got to start like paying attention and like just doing a little bit. Like, if I'm not a wine drinker, like, all right, you like wine. What should I start with drinking? Like, what would you recommend if I want to buy a bottle or start like going down the wine road? Like, what would you recommend?
I feel like that's such like that question has a different answer for everybody. For me, I liked wine before, but like I said, like at the Rose, it's a very wine focused bar and it's a natural wine bar.
Okay.
And so I would get off of my shift there. I'm like making burgers or pasta or steaks all night, and it's hot. And, the classic line cook post shift order is a nice cold beer. Yeah. But then they had this really great chilled red that was a natural wine. And I'm like, oh, it's cold and it's nice, but chilled chilled red. I think it's if you're trying to understand natural wine, I feel like that's a good kind of way to get in, because it's just like juicy, and not all of them, of course, they all taste different, but that's kind of a fun little catalyst, but you got to learn what you like.
Huh. So do you remember what was it a certain kind of chilled red?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly which one it was, and it probably rotated a couple times, but I think it was like California, like
because California is like the big wine state, and that was the thing. Is like, dude, you got to know this stuff.
But is there any wine, like if you had to pick your favorite grape right now, like what would you say?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah, like is there anything?
I don't know.
Like Cab or like Sauv Blanc?
No, like that's what I mean. Like zero. I have zero knowledge. I'm a bartender and I should know these things. But.
No. I'm just curious, kind of like, it's so tricky because everyone has kind of different palates. Like,
I got you. I got you. I was thinking, just like Wine for Dummies or something. I might just get that book. That'd be quite suiting for me.
Yeah, but like go to wine-focused bars. Like go to the Rose or...
I should. You know what? I will do that.
Or Vino Carta.
Yeah.
Go to Vino Carta and have a glass and chat with them down there and shop around and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me pick a bottle. And they'll be much, they'll help you out. They'll be like, okay, well, do you want red or white? And then kind of go from there.
Okay. No, I will go. You used to work at the Rose, right?
Yeah, I used to, yeah.
Okay. I'll stop in there.
Yeah.
I'll say Anna sent me, help me out.
The Rose is great. I think Vino Carta is great as well. Have you never been there? I mean, I imagine not. It's like all wine, but it's in Little Italy. There's a few locations, but the one in Little Italy is nice because it's a wine shop, but you also can have a glass and sit down and hang out. Like it's a super fun spot to hang out.
One thing I do know about wine is they say to don't go for the super expensive stuff. Like you can get really good, inexpensive red wine.
Yeah.
Because like you don't need to pay for these crazy bottles.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's like marketing and stuff like that. Sorry,
definitely.
We're on a bartending podcast. I shouldn't be saying that.
No, definitely. I mean, it just depends, but don't get the expensive wine because it's expensive.
Right.
Get it because you know it, or you know the grape, or you want something from the region, but don't just go for the price point, which happens. I mean, and that's fine too.
It's business.
Higher my check average, but but I think that. Yeah, that's definitely, I think there are really amazing, I've been fortunate enough to try some really expensive wines and they are amazing.
Okay.
But it's not a, how am I trying to say this?
It's not necessarily a correlation. More expensive always means better.
Exactly.
Right. Got you. So
which can kind of be transferred to all sorts of things, right?
Of course. Yeah. It's a great little restaurant in Little Italy is, I went on a date to Felipe's recently.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's like talk about like quality and inexpensive food. Boom, dude. Italian food, Felipe's.
I grew up going there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
In Little Italy. When I was a kid, my mom worked for the city. She worked for the mayor.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, they were really trying to build up Little Italy. And my mom is half Italian, so she was like very into this project. I was actually, when they put the sign up and lit it up for the first time, they had a big party, and I was actually there for that, with my mom.
The Little Italy sign?
Yeah, the Little Italy sign. And it was, so she just loved, at that time, like it was just such a big part of San Diego and trying to like bring that area up and put in all the, like have this culture, all these Italian restaurants. So we would go to Felipe's and kind of hang out over there.
Yeah, my friend Brant bartends at Barbusa down there. There's a lot of really cool spots. There's that new bar, Good Enough. That's like a cocktail bar in Little Italy.
I really got to go visit.
Maybe do a little guest bartending shift over there.
That'd be fun.
They're looking for people. That's like a big thing they're doing.
Yeah, I know. I need to get out of my bubble a little bit more.
Bro, I think you would be really good at that. Like go and do one of those guest bartending shifts at one of those cocktail bars.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I've done, we did like some takeovers. I did a guest bartending shift at this spot called Fox Point Farms in Encinitas. It's a pretty cool space. There's a farm and a restaurant and a brewery, and it's all kind of in this space. There's like houses around it, like a housing development. But yeah, I like to kind of, especially because Mabel's it is where I see myself for this foreseeable future. I love these little chances to see behind other people's bars and kind of just like, oh, okay, well, how do you do it? Or like, what is this like? Or even just like little techniques or design things, the way this is built.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. We did a takeover in LA was our kind of big one. There's this place called the Normandy Hotel, and they have a bar, and then behind that bar there is this separate space, and that separate space has been reconceptualized, but at the time it was like DJs. They have all these like faux plants hanging from the ceiling. It's like the bar is sunken. It was really cool. It was like a really cool eye-opening experience to go bartend there and take over their bar, and they have a whole separate bar lab. It's not in the kitchen. It's like they have their own 3-compartment sink and own materials and tools and prep tables. And I was like, ooh, This is so cool to see.
It's so different. Watch,
like a
see
whole
what other
lab.
people are doing. No, you definitely have a good gig at Mabel's, and like it seems like what you're learning there and that team that you're on is awesome. So like obviously, yeah, dude, keep rocking with that. And I ask people about their future, not because I think they should leave or I'm trying to suggest anything, but I think it's good to just like think about these things because years go by and sometimes we go, oh, wow, I wish I was doing, why was I doing this for so long? No, but seeing what other people are doing, that's kind of what I'm doing with this podcast, right? Is like letting people know what's going on at all these different programs and bars and what's going through this bartender's head because sometimes people deal with a lot of stress in their lives and they don't realize that other people feel that way too. You know, when you go through, when you have mental health things going on in your life. And I think we haven't really talked too much about the mental health aspect in this episode. We can. Yeah. But it was cool. Like learning what other people are doing at bars is really cool. I remember I was at Stout Public House and the owner from Triple Crown Pub up in Normal Heights area.
Yeah. I live in Normal Heights.
The guy who opened it, there's two of them, and he, like 15, 16 years in, he decided not to own anymore. He, sold his shares and left. He knows my owner, and he's kind of like a regular at the bar. Yeah. And one slow night, I was just sitting there talking to him for like an hour about his experience running and opening that bar. And it's so
wild,
interesting to hear how different people do it and like the similarities between what he was doing at that place and how my Stout people, they do it at Stout. And it's just really cool. It's like, it gives you perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so cool that you're like just talking to people and picking their brains and then also putting it out there for other people to ingest and kind of take their own notes from it.
Well, we haven't touched on the mental health stuff that much. Is that, I know that in my life, in my career, I have struggled with alcohol, drinking too much and stuff like that. And I think that especially when you work around liquor for a living, it can be easy to fall in that trap. And I don't mean like drinking at work. I just mean about the late nights, the stress
after work,
I know you take a shot before your shift, you go in, you start your shift with a shot, you do a couple shots of regulars, you have a shift drink, you go out afterwards. Next thing you know, you're 12 drinks deep. And there are people who do that every other day of their professional careers. Yeah. So I think like, I'm not advocating for sober bartending, but I think that like to sit here and say that, alcoholism doesn't run rampant in this industry I'd be lying to people. Yeah.
Well, it's also like you are serving people alcohol all day. And so it's like very normalized that like, well, they're all drinking and now I want to sit down and have a drink. And I think that let me like think about how I want to say this. No. I think that at the end of the day, it's definitely a battle. It's like you have to be actively trying to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you can just get stuck in that pattern and that rut. And if taking care of yourself means drinking less, which it does for a lot of people, I'd say, you just have to kind of really try to set your boundaries. And it's still tough. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it, but there's even like one time I got this, it's like, they call it like mindful drinking, right? So it's an app and you have to put in how many drinks you've had that day. And you kind of set ahead, okay, this day of the week is going to be a dry day and I'm not going to have any drinks that day. And for me, that helped a little bit because it turned it into a game. I'm like competing with myself to like, I got to make it through my dry day. Or like, I think the more you just actively think about it and try to plan your week and maybe think about, okay, maybe I don't want to have so many drinks this day because I have an early morning the next day, or just trying to like, just be really mindful and think about it.
Everybody.
It's so different for everybody is the thing. Like I can just speak to my experience.
Right.
And I also, I have a dry bar at Mabel's. We don't drink behind the bar. We don't, when people want to take shots with us, we politely decline.
Yep.
And I don't know that that's the way, but it's a big portion of your day.
You know what? It's a professional business. And honestly, I've worked with people who can hang and I don't have, and it's like, dude, if you can, like the places I've generally worked at over the years, if you can handle your shit and the customer wants to pay for a shot for you to drink, then handle your shit and it's part of a sale. Like that's where it comes from, right?
100%.
It stems from like like that community in that moment.
Yeah.
But what happens is it can snowball. And
it can
becomes
snowball.
like,
it's so tricky. And I would love to do a shot with my guests. But I'm like, you guys do a shot together. Yeah. How about that? Like, you guys are here to have a good time. I'm here to work. And I just try to keep that kind of mentality. Like, even though I'm in a bar setting, I'm here to work, and like they're supposed to be having the good time. Like, I'm getting paid.
We are in the business of creating hospitality, of good times.
It can be hard to set a party vibe when you're not partying.
Yeah, very well, absolutely. So yeah, I know.
So yeah, I'm definitely.
I don't. You know, I've been the guy to do a bunch of shots at work. I don't really. Very special occasions, I do that. I just found that like I don't really like. I don't want you to try to buy me. I feel like it's like a control dominance thing. Like, I'm gonna like do a shot with me. Here you go. I'm paying you. And I'm just like, no, dude,
it's
like
okay.
you're not really in control here. And
yeah.
like, this is my job, and I provide the hospitality, and I'm going to be kind to you, and I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah.
But like, you're not going to like, it becomes that a little bit. Like, I'm buying your energy and your attention. So, and like in a lot of these places, so I every once in a while doing. But I just like, no, dude,
But it should be your decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And another thing for me is I feel like if I got behind the bar in my early 20s.
That's a very good point.
I started bartending at 29, very quickly hit 30, and very quickly, like, I can't do shots. I can do shots of Amaro. I cannot do shots of booze. I just can't anymore. And the hangovers are like deadly. So I'm just like, I literally can't. So I'm like, all right, well.
I do know people who started as like behind bars as teenagers at some of those like high, like nightclub eras, and they've like blown themselves up so fast. It's almost like a blessing to get into it later. It's different for different people. You know?
But I drank plenty in my early 20s and going out and this and that. So because I was still in restaurants, and it still has that, you know, even back of house has that a little bit of that culture. It's like a part of it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think just like, it's such a tough subject.
It's tough. And I appreciate you sharing that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, like, when talking about mental health, that's something that I've experienced is literally having a hangover just dip into your mental health. It's just like, you feel like shit. You hate yourself for whatever. Like, it's just not a good mental state to be in. So you just have to really have a lot of love for yourself and take care of yourself so that you can do your job. And it kind of just comes, I don't know, it comes down to a lot of things. Alcoholism is insane.
Balance. You gotta have balance.
You gotta try to have a balance, to have a quality of life. And everybody goes through things in their personal lives. I've definitely been through many personal struggles. Actually, like the year that Mabel's opened, I was having huge personal struggles and changing my career. And it was like, whoa, like I just kind of felt numb for a while, but it's something that you have to remember that everybody else has those personal struggles too. And just kind of, it's a battle to take care of yourself. It's really hard. I
think opening up about it and like talking about it, like there's two ways to think about it. Like sometimes talking about your problems creates those problems, but if you just hide everything in and if you don't voice what's going on inside you, your problems can spiral out of control. So I think like just finding a friend or a therapist or a bartender or somebody close to you to express, like, here's what I've seen over the years. I've dated women in the industry, and you share customers, and I'll have a regular who's coming in all the time, getting after it, spending money, drinking all the time. Hey, what's going on, John? How are you? Dude, just crushing life, living the best life ever. And then they go to my girlfriend's bar, and that conversation, hey, John, how are you? My life sucks. I'm depressed. I'm spiraling out of control. Like, so sometimes the people who are going the craziest are actually the people who are dealing with the most. And it's like, sometimes I have customers who come in like that, and they'll just be like, oh, life's great, or I hate my job, or all this stuff. And then one day out of the 100 I see them a year, they just like, oh my gosh, dude, like I'm going off the fucking rails. and life is really challenging and shit. So
yeah,
I think like what we do as a bartender is we kind of listen. We're therapists, and we listen to people.
Yeah,
and you kind of learn that like this little like professional image that people put themselves out on social media is not really what people go through in life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like people
definitely.
really do struggle with things, and I think that's what our job is maybe to like listen to some of these people and to at least like be an ear. I can't fix people's problems,
right?
But we can listen to people and give them a voice to talk to. I think it's like a really big
drink.
Yeah, and a drink or a sandwich or a piece of fish or some food, a comfort. Yeah. It's comfort.
You know
what I mean?
Comfort of sorts, and like being in an environment like that when you're down can be very helpful as opposed to just being alone.
Community.
It's like, just like get out there. And I think that's why, so many people struggled with mental health during the shutdown. And I think that's a big part of it is like we lost this community, or we had to find different ways to get it. And, I think that's kind of, that was a big struggle for a lot of people.
That's like a huge, and that's the thing with my podcast is like, dude, I don't want to be promoting alcohol, but it's also like restaurants are so helpful for people. These community spaces for people to come and express themselves and not be judged.
Yeah.
And be open and things like that. And, I struggle with those things too, because it gets expensive, and, I'm just always looking for ways to try to, I think like discipline for me, when I'm disciplined in my life, discipline doesn't necessarily mean abstinence, but it's like, if I can get on a routine and get to the gym and, cook and eat healthy and like not do 100,000 shots at work at night, like my life, everything in my life goes up.
Yeah.
But when my discipline's down and you go out after work and you're not going to the gym and it's like you're eating fried food and unhealthy food, it's
and like that's
amplifies.
Okay to do sometimes too. But like you said, it's kind of all about the balance. And if you treat yourself like that, and you get in this rut where you're like doing that and doing that and doing that, that's when I feel like I'm just like, it just feels like it can feel so much more like a grind when it's just going to take a little time for yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. So I've really enjoyed, we don't have to wrap up right now, but like, is there anything that you want to, we've been talking for an hour and a half. This is a great conversation.
Yeah. Sorry if it went a little long.
No, dude. Okay. Sometimes these go like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. We're just talking.
Yeah. We're just fucking hanging out, having a chat. Well, cheers. Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Anna, I appreciate you.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.